welcome back to Queer 101, the podcast where we talk about any and everything under the sun, including queer art, queer history, and queer literature. I am Peppermint, and Happy New Year.
Happy New Year, Pep. I am Hugh Ryan, aka Hugh the Historian, and we are ending 2025 with you today. Well, I guess technically
No, we're starting
tomorrow.
2026.
We're starting, yes, that's the way to think about it. We are starting 2026.
I feel like 2025 ended before it began, honey.
Oh, it should have. My God.
Yeah.
There was a lot of 2025 I could have happily skipped over.
Yes, honey. It has been some year. Quite a year, darling. I quite don't like it, but it is what it is. And we are, it's hard to believe like how quickly, as we get older, things just go faster and faster, I feel.
Oh, they really do. This year flew by. I mean, the highlight, of course, are all of our now many episodes of Queer 101, which you are welcome, of course, to dip back, whether it's on YouTube, Spotify, wherever you get your podcast. You can listen to us through the last year and into next year. That has, for me, been one of the best personal highlights of this year, getting to read all of these amazing queer books through Alstora with our listeners, with you, getting to reflect on them, getting to talk about them, and getting to bring them to new and exciting audiences, for me, has been a highlight in a year that otherwise had a lot of like trash news for the queer community, honestly.
Honestly, it has been. And we have the opportunity to reflect every once in a while, of course, at the end of the year on the things we've done. And we didn't get a chance to mention her, but I do want to give her flowers, Miss Major, who is an icon, a pioneer,
a Stonewall veteran.
A Stonewall veteran, and an outspoken trans woman who was an abolitionist in terms of prison reform. And she spoke really candidly about her experience having been incarcerated. And we lost her last year at the end of the year, and just wanted to give her flowers. If you don't know who that is, please just like look her up and get to familiarize yourself with her a bit.
She's got a great book, Miss Major Speaks. You can look it up. You can read it at home. I think you can even see parts of her recent memorial service on YouTube, where so many folks in the queer community came out to talk about how important Miss Major Griffin Gracie was to them personally, to the community as a whole. Thank you for bringing her into the conversation. Yeah. What a great name to uplift this year.
Yeah, and so I'm going through with her energy. I had a chance to do a couple of interviews with her, and I can't say. We had to censor some of the interview. I'll just say
I never met her in person. What was she like?
She's wonderful. I mean, she reminded me of like a family member or someone, because she had a lot of I'm not sure I'm not sure why, but for some probably obvious reasons, she reminded me of some of my family members. And so she would speak very candidly about like whatever she wanted. She didn't really like switch codes or anything. She would just be like, bitch, what did it, like she just had no pretense,
Mm-hmm.
And I love that about her. But she just was beloved, and I think someone who maybe didn't get the spotlight or didn't get mentioned for her work or for what she was doing with the community for many years, at least in my purview. Like I wasn't really as aware of her as I should have been, for sure. And so once I did, obviously a decade ago, I was able to, connect with her and start understanding the certain reverence that we should hold for her. But I think there's a lot of people who, we certainly hear of Sylvia Rivera and Marsha P. Johnson, who are two names that we should definitely all know. But there are more and more people there present at Stonewall, and a couple of them are still alive, or were recently, of course. And Miss Major Griffin Gracie was one of them. Also, Tree Sequoia is someone that I don't want to, and who has been recognized, Tree. but I want to make sure that we have an opportunity to get information about their experiences. Now,
Yeah.
Miss Major Speaks, we have her book. I'm not sure. I don't think Troy Tree has a book.
I don't
Um,
think so.
but these are people that we should uphold and uplift and look to for empowerment as we go into the new year, for sure.
Oh, yeah. Speaking of people who have not, and moments in our history that have not gotten uplifted in the way they should, I want to share with you one of my absolute favorite moments from queer New Year's Eve history, which is,
Okay.
have you ever heard about the raid on the Black
Black
Cat
Cat
Tavern?
Tavern, Black Cat Tavern. Oh yeah.
Opened in 1966. 1967, 2 years before the Stonewall riots, where Miss Major and Jay Toole and so many other people resisted police, and some of them are remembered as they should be. Some of them, like you said with Miss Major, have not gotten their flowers. But 2 years before that, on New Year's Eve, 1967, at the Black Cat Tavern, the police raided the New Year's celebration. They waited until the moment where people were ringing in the New Year because they knew that men and women would be kissing and dancing together, and they swept through the bar. They arrested something like 14 people. They beat a couple of the bartenders until they were unconscious. They wrecked the place, destroyed the bar, and then a month later, in February, it became the site of one of the largest civil disobedience, queer resistance movements to date. And because of that riot on New Year's Eve, and because of the resistance a year later, and a bunch of other acts of resistance by queer people, particularly trans and gender nonconforming people, particularly people of color, particularly folks who were so marginalized, who were poor, the street youth, all of this resistance culminated that year in the formation of the new Metropolitan Community Church, one of the first queer supportive denominations in the country, which is still going to this very day. And all of that stems back to a group of people just trying to have a great time in LA on the night of New Year's 1967. So I'm hoping none of us have to deal with that tomorrow night as we are out celebrating. But when I think about the importance of queer joy and queer partying and queer celebrations, I think about those people at the Black Cat who didn't know that they were going to be the starting point for a major movement. All they knew is that they wanted to find a space that was welcoming for them, where they as queer people could gather together and ring in the new year. And so when I think about New Year's, even though it's not my favorite holiday, I gotta say, I find New Year's a lot of pressure on it. Feels like you gotta have a good time, you gotta have a party, and sometimes that can be a little much for me. But even so, I think it is so important to remember that queer joy threatens the powers that be so much that they send the cops in to round us up, to beat us down, and it is still unstoppable. And that is the energy I want to bring with me into the new year.
I love that. That's the energy I want to bring into the new year too. And I would really love to be able to use these experiences, these stories, this. I'd like there to be more lore and legend in the queer community, so that we have, an understanding of our connection to. I do think the disservice that we do in sort of summarizing the story of Stonewall is that summarizing historical accounts off the bat, like across the board, the disadvantage that we have, and we're saying, oh, like this thing that happened, it was just about this, like the Japanese internment, like it was just racism. It was racism. But like it, even horrible atrocities like the Holocaust. Yes, it's anti-Semitism. These Stonewall moments like this. Yes, it was homophobia, but it was so much more than that. It was about systems of power that wanted to exercise or use that power to harm, disenfranchise, murder, obliterate, whatever word, harm groups of people who were at that point a challenge to the system in different ways, for different reasons and in different ways. But when it really is, in my view, it is a capitalist empire that's flexing on its own people who don't fit into, or who are not fitting into, the status quo in the way that would be the most beneficial to the systems of capital, you know. And in order for these systems to triumph, or to try to get what they want or need, which is more power, more land, more money, whatever, you have to harm other people and make an example out of them. And oftentimes that is, you know, that's why we hear stories like this happen over and over again. And I think that, like, we can't ignore, like, yes, it was just, a lot of people think, oh, it's just a bunch of gays. They just got them because they were gays or they were trans. But it's not that. They had an excuse to go in there because they were looking for sex workers. They were looking for, you know what I mean? Like, that's really at the crux of all this. And it's so intersectional. We can't separate these things, because people who were queer or trans back in those times were certainly ostracized. It was absolutely legal to fire somebody for being for being queer or trans or gay. So then they were, or they were in the closet and hiding. And so that's when you either could threaten people with the loss of their job, and that once you have power over people and they're desperate, then you can control them. And I think, you know, I'm not trying to preach here, but I'm just saying, you know, it's not this. Stonewall wasn't just a bunch of gays that just got attacked. Black Cat Tavern wasn't just a bunch of queers that just, like, oh, they just came through the door and they didn't want us at the club. It was obviously so much more than that. And it was even more than just homophobia. Or at least it was homophobia and transphobia and queerphobia in a way that connected, like you said, poverty. You know, when you're poor and you're disenfranchised, you're not participating in the system the way that the system wants you to participate in. And that's what they want. They want everybody to line up, pay your taxes, which is lots of money that we can use for things down the line. We meaning the government, and shut your mouth and adhere to these fit in these boxes. And anybody that's outside of that, we're gonna terrorize.
Actually,
Happy New Year.
I was going to say, as terrible as that is, it's a great segue into, for those of you who are part of our Alstora book club, you may already have received this by this time. For those of you who are not, we're giving you a little preview of where we're going next month. Sister Outsider, the incredible, the essential book of essays by Audre Lorde.
No, she gets more than that. She has to get more than that.
All of the above.
Incredible, essential, preeminent, groundbreaking, undeniable, revolutionary, seminal.
What did she call herself? Warrior, poet, mother, all of the above. Audre Lorde. If you're looking to resist an intersectional oppression movement, then you need intersectional icons. You need this book. And oh my god, how beautiful is it? I mean, look at this. Look at this gold. I feel a little bit like a QVC host, but I can't help myself. It is like literally just a fucking gorgeous book.
Otherwise I would be like
that would be so good.
It, but
yeah, my favorite part is this little pink penguin. They sent a little pink penguin.
I know. I'm excited.
This is the energy we're bringing into the new year.
This really, really is. And, you know, everything old is new again. That's that's not a great way to say that, but, like, you know, it is, this is a reminder, like, Audre Lorde has been here, right? And obviously, and this is a reminder to go back and sort of redeem the stories and experiences of the people who learned so much and have so much to teach and tell us about that could possibly help us in the future, like Audre Lorde. And so, yeah, I'm excited to crack into this book. If you are, I hope that you are a brand new listener of this podcast, and I hope that you are a brand new subscriber of our fabulous Queer History 101 book club, because this is a great opportunity. As we've said in the past, coming through a year or two of book bans and withstanding the book bans and withstanding the discrimination and all the stuff that we've withstood over the last year, and beyond, it's a great way to sort of be refreshed and revived and know that, like, it is about the terror and the cruelty that we've seen, but it really is when it's the terror and the cruelty, when it's it's performative cruelty, performative terror, that means there's nothing else. Because if there were something else that would be benefiting them, they would be doing that. This is the only thing that benefits these systems of oppression and power, is to display it. Because without that, they've got nothing. And I'm not saying that things don't happen like covertly or behind the scenes. They certainly do. But those are often the things that we should be checking for. And so the good news is, if we have queer community and we have an understanding of how we resisted these same systems of power and oppression in the past, then we will be A-okay. We might feel a little lonely. We might feel a little disenfranchised every now and again. But listen, you know, if my neighbor is a great cook and I am a great, and I have a well in my backyard, which I don't, you know, then what difference does it make if they shut down the grocery store and they stop the water? We will be fine. And so that is the energy that we have to have into this. We will be fine. They're going to change the laws. They're going to do all this stuff. And there's going to be more to come this year. There is. We cannot be under any, but we will be fine.
I just love that we get to have ancestors who, like Audre Lorde, were out as queer people, out as warriors against oppression, as socialist poets, as black women standing up and claiming feminism as theirs. We get to look back and have her published reflections at that time. We get to have decades of her writing. When she was coming out, when the folks at the Black Cat were resisting, they had rumors that were passed back and forth. They had things that they read into. They didn't have this vast archive that we have of queer people who have resisted and survived and passed those stories on. And you and I get to then build an entire podcast and book club around sharing more of those stories and spreading more of those stories. And that is what's going to keep me going in 2026. It's that kind of resilience, that kind of growth of our community and resistance, despite, you know, these times of terrible oppression. And yeah, like you said, I don't think 2026 is going to be all, you know, rainbows and fairies. But we've got Audre Lorde to see us through, and that ain't nothing.
It's true. And I'm so grateful that we have Audre Lorde. And, you know, like, it's, once you read Audre Lorde, then you're open to, like, hopefully bell hooks. And then you can, like, just keep going down that path, right? And
June Jordan, Barbara and Beverly Jordan. There are so many incredible queer, black, intersectional feminists, let alone all of the other queer ancestors and icons that you can bring into our lives.
It's true. And I think that this is where it's just that it's a treasure trove of information that I'm excited. I've not read this book before now. And so I'm so excited. And I think about, like, what New Year's was. I think a lot of people ask, what does the holidays mean to you in terms of Christmas, in terms of things like that? But, you know, thinking about New Year, I think there's the perfunctory, like, everybody makes their New Year's resolution, which again is sort of, it's good to do, I guess, to have to reflect and understand where you want to go and set your goals for the year, which is really, really good to do. But I think it's so much more simple than that. Like, it really is. Listen, if people want to stop smoking and go to the gym, it's a good idea to recognize that as soon as you can. You don't have to wait until the new year to do it, but and it's good to make a plan in the beginning of the year, even if it doesn't stick the way that you think that it will.
Yeah, do it for a while.
But one of the things we can do is come up with some stuff that will stick, that isn't necessarily dependent upon, like, us having to stick to this, like, a new regimen or something like that. It can just be like reading this one book. Reading this one thing, diving in and getting more about, getting more knowledge and information. But I do think about the parties. You talked about it. Like, I do think about those parties, and I don't know. I feel like it seems like New Year's Eve parties. Maybe I'm just getting old. New Year's Eve parties don't seem to be like as much of a thing.
Fun. Yeah. I think you're right.
Maybe
I
they
think
are a
it's so.
thing, but it's the individualism that has like gotten to us. That has, I think, the only people who stand to really gain from people getting together at New Year's are caterers and liquor suppliers. And I think that those people don't have a strong a hold in or lobby in American politics to force us into this like brainwashed. We all have to go to a New Year's Eve party, just like we feel like we have to go and buy a diamond on your anniversary, or you have to spend money on things or Valentine's Day. And so I don't know. I do enjoy New Year's, but it always ends up in New York. It always ended up for me being out after midnight, obviously, 1 o'clock or 2 o'clock in the morning, usually much later for me. Standing on the corner in a G-string and a thong and a garter belt, trying to get a cab for
Ugh.
legit 2 hours. And it is
Freezing.
not happening. Freezing in the cold.
Has this happened to you? I've had it happen at least once, I think maybe 2 different years, where you're trying to do too many things on New Year's and you end up on the subway when the ball actually drops. I was trapped underneath the East River for like an hour one year at New Year's, and I was like, "Oh my god, this is just the worst." The
Why were you
getting
trapped?
from one
Why
party to another.
the train was stopped?
Yep, the F train just was like, "No, we're done. That's it. We live here now."
That would drive me wild. That's my hardest part about, obviously, about being on the train, which I do take the subway, but like when it stops, 1 minute feels like 20 minutes.
Oh yeah, yeah, and you are just
and you
stuck
feel
there.
trapped. And you're like, I start getting claustrophobic, and I'm like, what am I going to do?
I
have
start
to get
figuring
out
out
of
who would be the
here.
first person to eat in the car. I mean, yeah.
I need to escape. And part of like, I don't even care where I was going. Just get the train moving. And like, stop in the fucking station. Pardon my French. Stop in the station so we can get the hell out of here if we want to do something else.
Yeah, because I do not want to celebrate New Year's on the F train. No, thank you.
Well,
No,
so
thank
wait,
you.
when that happened, did you all count down? Were you like, okay, we're here?
Okay. So we were beneath the East River, so nobody's phones were working. So nobody, it was like, and it
But
was
the
a
clocks
long.
worked.
This was clocks were working, but it was sort of like everybody was there, really trying to get out of it. You know, nobody was in a celebratory mood. Everyone was like staring at their clock to try and figure out, like, will I make it? Will I get to the thing I'm trying to get to? And we had been stuck there for a while because we all thought we were gonna make it, right? So like, it's like at 11:30 is when we got stuck, 11:40. So by the time it became obvious that we were not making it to our parties for the countdown, everyone was in a shit mood. I don't know if we counted down at all. I think there was a sort of ragged cheer, you know, at midnight, a sort of like, yeah, blump. And then it was over.
So sorry.
You know, ever since then, I gotta say, I do not tend to do a lot of things on New Year's. Maybe one thing. I'll see some people, you know, but just it's this year. I think I've got no plans tomorrow. I am just relaxing at home and like setting my own intention for a really beautiful year as much as I am capable of making it. You know, I may not be able to control the world. I may not be able to control where the F train gets me stuck, but at least I can try and like make my own little space a little beautiful. Look forward to some lovely things in the coming year.
And speaking of
That's
the
my
new year, we should take a quick break for a New Year's message. Hey y'all, it's Peppermint, and honey, I have something fabulous to share with you. I have teamed up with Moody Teas to create something truly special. It's called Transcendence. It isn't just a tea blend. It is a whole movement. A gorgeous, color-shifting holiday tea that supports advocates for trans equality, the organization, with every single purchase. So here's what I'm asking. When you're thinking about what to get mom, dad, grandma, auntie, whoever is on your holiday list, think Transcendence tea. It's crafted with butterfly pea flower, rooibos, spearmint, and just a kiss of vanilla. So it's a blue vanilla mint tea. And this blend was made to uplift, empower, and remind us all that transformation is beautiful. And the best part is it is just as stunning as it is delicious. The vibrant blue turns color with just a squeeze of lemon to a deep purple hue. Honey, it's holiday magic in a cup. So head to moodyteas.co/peppermint to order, and you'll get 10% off your first purchase. So this year, I urge you to sip and support. Your friends, your family, they're all going to love it, baby. And you can tell them that if they don't do it, then the tea that they're drinking is transphobic, okay? You can go ahead and say that I said that. But the best news is that you'll be giving back to the community at the same time. And it's a wonderful organization that helps people who are in such need. So once again, that's moodyteas.co/peppermint. Wishing you a joyful holiday season and the happiest of New Year's. That should be quenching and satiating for all of us in the new year. And I really do hope that people find a way to be more resistant and not feeling like actively resistant and intentional about like not falling into the same sort of like mindless patterns that we've all been in. You know, we're creatures of comfort. We want to be, you know, in our patterns. But like the pattern is going to stop working pretty soon. And so like, let's find ways that we can still get what we need, spend time with who we want and do what we want, while also recognizing our true connection to our true positioning between whatever systems that are harmful to us, the systems that we don't need, and then the systems that we do need, which are community and things like that. So I hope people can do that this year.
Yeah, and we want to hear from you, listeners. If you have thoughts about how you're doing that next year, how you're bringing liberation into the next year, how you're bringing self-care into the next year, how you're bringing resistance and change, or how you're resisting, drop it in the comments. Send us a message. We want to know what you're thinking about and how we all can do a better job in 2026 than we have done in 2025. You can reach us at questions@queer101podcast.com or leave a comment on the YouTube if you're watching or listening to us if you're anywhere in the world on Spotify or on Apple Music or all of the above. Please like, share, subscribe, and tell us, what is the energy you're bringing into 2026? How are you going to make more queer joy, more queer liberation, and more queer resistance?
Yeah, and file tax exempt. Thanks for listening. We'll see you next time.
Best advice.
Thank you so much for joining us today.
This podcast is part of Pride House Media, hosted by us, Peppermint and Hugh, produced and edited by Josh Rosenzweig, with original music composed by Nell Balaban.
If you enjoyed this episode, then don't forget to subscribe wherever you listen to your podcasts. And while you're there, leave us a rating and a review. It really helps others discover the show.
You can stay connected and join the conversation by following us at Peppermint 24/7 or write to us at questions@queer101podcast.com.
Thank you for listening. And remember, our history is your history. Stay proud, stay curious, and we'll see you next time on Queer 101.